Satsi Dimirkova.
Yes, great job.
And this woman is amazing. I had the opportunity to meet her, what was last year sometime.
Yes,
and it
summer.
was in the summer where it was an event, and it was with an artist and a mutual friend of the both of ours. And then just with divine meeting again, we met again just a few months ago at an event in Hollywood called The Study. And so I knew already the first time I met Satsi that we needed to connect again for something such as this. But that time that we re-met each other a few months ago was like, okay, we definitely need to do this. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
We're so blessed and we're excited to have you.
Thank
She's
you.
a woman of depth and she covers so many arenas in life. And so tell us a little bit just about who you are before we get into the interview.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course.
And hello to all the viewers. So 20 years ago, I actually arrived from Bulgaria in the United States. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about my story in a minute.
Sure.
But at 21, I started a nonprofit organization. And since then, it's called Changing a Generation.
Okay.
So I have been running that for all of these years.
Wow.
We have about 1,000 children in Bulgaria, Ghana, and Uganda
Okay.
that we sponsor with scholarships and food, nutrition, clothing, shoes, whatever it takes to get them off of the streets and preserve them from being trafficked.
Wow.
So that has been our nonprofit, and then I also work as a business coach. I travel and speak, do motivational speaking engagements. So I work on various different levels.
Right.
But that has been pretty much my life in the last 21 years
Wow.
since I arrived. Yes.
That's amazing. And you've already done so much. Let's see, so 21 years you've been here.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly, reading that you came out here, you had $100 to
I
your
did.
name, and you could not speak more than 100 words in English.
Absolutely,
Talk to
that
us
was
a little bit
correct.
about that.
Well, I was 16 when actually communism fell in Bulgaria.
Okay.
And at that time, missionaries started coming to the country, giving us food and nutrition, whatever was needed, because we didn't have anything to really eat right after Russia dropped us.
Wow.
And so at that particular time, I heard the gospel and I heard about Jesus, and I wanted to become a preacher right away.
Love
I thought, well,
that.
I'm going to travel, I'm going to speak all over the world. One little problem, I'm a woman, I come from a communist country, nobody believes in God, I have no money, and I don't speak English. So you have a lot of circumstances against you.
Sure.
And because I was 16, wasn't really thinking about all the impossibilities, I thought, no, I'm going
Yes.
to go and study. And through missionaries that were in Bulgaria, I heard about Tulsa, Oklahoma, a Victory Bible College, and I got accepted. And I decided, okay, I'm coming to the United States.
Wow.
So it's a various series of miracles of how I obtained a visa, came here, started, and I lived on $100 for a full year.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That's a book. I know you're an author, but that's a book.
I am writing at the moment. It's going to come out in the end of the year.
Okay.
Yes, it's called Motivated by the Impossible, Recognizing Your Invisible Mentors.
Oh, that's
Because communism and then various circumstances in life, though negative, mentored me to be the person I am today. I just had to view them differently so that they don't crush me.
Yes.
And I think in life it's so important that we recognize the problems not as something against us, but that we embrace it and we use it as a stepping stone to where we're going.
That's so good.
Yeah, so it was a journey, obviously. I learned English through the dictionary and through the news. I would get the dictionary out and I would start reading the words and I would just pray that I would have the ability to remember them. And every day I would remember about 200 to 300 words just by reading them. So I was fluent in about 2-3 months and started school.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So when you got accepted to the school in Tulsa, you still only had a very limited.
Oh, yes. I barely spoke.
Wow.
I was only speaking 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And then I got here and then I had to learn English within the first month and a half so that I can start classes and And as far as the $100, that was a completely different miracle. But I remember going to the places that fed the poor people in Tulsa and getting food from the buses. That's how I pretty much survived every day. And thinking to myself, why am I living under the poverty level in Bulgaria when I was there? It felt like you were just a part of everybody's poverty.
Sure.
Here, when you were the poorest and you were in the richest country in the world, it felt degrading. And so at that time, I really couldn't explain everything. I just knew that every day I still had food to eat, I had a place to sleep, and I didn't want to complain because I knew I had to graduate. And then years into it, I was on a bus ride in New York. We had just picked up a whole bunch of kids. It was in the ghetto of Brooklyn, and many of those kids had nothing to eat. We got them on the bus. I was working with Metro World Child. One of the little boys sat next to me and he said, "I wish you were my mommy." And then all of a sudden, all of the dots began to connect in my life of realizing if I had never been on a bus that fed the poor people, if I had never been in his shoes, I will have no compassion for the people that I work with today.
Wow.
I will have no ability to relate to them and give empathy, not just sympathy or say, "Oh, I feel sorry for you."
Right.
I can empathize with their pain because I have been in those places.
Yes.
And I can encourage them of how to overcome them.
Yes.
So everything in life is a journey, and whoever is listening today, no matter where you are in life, don't get discouraged just because it may not look like the way you think it should be at right this second.
That's right.
Everything changes. Just
Yes.
around the corner, things can change suddenly.
Wow. It's like perspective is everything,
It is.
and I love that because we all do face things. We all do face obstacles and things that come against us, but it really is in how you choose,
Absolutely.
what you choose to do with that. To look at it as an opportunity to overcome and have victory, or is it just something that you're going to look at and let defeat you and
Absolutely.
then keep you down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, what a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's definitely not something I ever thought I would be doing.
Wow.
But now looking back, I have no regrets.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's the hardships that create the character. So it's not that I welcome hardships, but they're going to be there.
They will be there.
And it doesn't matter what they are.
Yes.
You have to make up your mind that you're not going to be a victim of them.
That's right.
And you can move forward through them.
Well, I love so many things about what you've already shared so far. Now, you were 16 when you came out.
I was actually 18 and a half.
You were 18 and a half.
Yes.
Okay. And so I feel like to have been able to make that decision to move forward, because that's a pretty bold step.
It is.
To come out of a communist country to the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
by yourself, right?
Alone.
All alone,
Yes.
with $100 to your name. But I feel like there's something greater and stronger that must have been driving you, or maybe you are a dreamer, or there's a principle in the word that talks about having the vision, and without prophetic vision, people cast off restraint.
Yeah.
So you are a woman of vision, I take it.
Oh,
Talk to us a
absolutely.
little bit about vision or dreams that have been in your heart.
Well, from the moment I actually came here, I knew that I wanted to travel and speak. I knew that I also wanted to be influential in business and government.
Yes.
I didn't want to just focus on one arena
Yeah.
of life because I was in a college that was very much about the world and missions and reaching people from various walks of life. And so in my heart, I saw myself as a speaker, as a person that would contribute something to the world. But obviously, you're 18, 19, you have none of those things developed. You've got to
Right.
develop them.
Sure.
So what I saw every day had to outgrow my reality, what I saw inside of myself. So when people would come and tell me, "Oh, you're just like the little girl that just showed up from Bulgaria," in my heart, I never accepted that.
That's
I
good.
said, "Oh no, I am not just a little girl, and I don't just have one little story. I
That's
am
right.
changing the world,
Oh,
and I'm
yes.
gonna meet presidents and I'm going to meet influencers.
Yes.
And so my reality was more vivid inside of my mind than it was on the outside. So it didn't matter how much money I had or didn't have. I was already living my dream in that. But something that I did that was, nobody had taught me at that time. Obviously I teach this now. But I decided to look at different books, different magazines, different people on TV that I thought, wow, they were great speakers. I cut off pictures, I cut out meetings that they have had in different nations, and just placed them on the ceiling of my second bunk bed. Because I was so close to the ceiling, I wanted to be close to my dreams.
Ooh,
and so the way I would do it is every night I would go to bed envisioning myself being that person. And I would wake up in the morning envisioning myself getting out of the second bunk bed onto the ground, already being that.
Wow.
And nobody knew it.
Yes.
I knew it.
Yes.
So every day when I would go to school, I had this little small green briefcase. And I would carry it as though I was going to a business appointment. As though I was going to give speeches to the United Nations or to presidents. To the point that when people would ask me, what do you do? Or who do you think you are? I would say, I'm an ambassador.
Woo!
I bring good news.
That's right.
And I am an influencer. And so it is very important, even when people did not believe me, or if people are not going to believe you because they don't see you, they're not inside of you, they don't have your dream, for you to know who you are, to discover yourself in the journey, and to also define your dream to a place that is so real, it's so practical, it's so clear in your mind of how you are and what you're going to do, that even when people tell you it's impossible, you can look at them in the eyes and confidently say, I'm sorry you think this way, but to me it is possible.
That's right.
Because your dream is not going to be a dream of somebody else.
That's right.
So you got to walk it out, you got to speak it out, and you got to dream it for yourself before you become that.
Yes.
So it has been, for me, that was my stepping point of how I am the person that I am today.
Right. And so how long has this taken, from the time that you began to put those pictures up until today? Or maybe not today, maybe you began to walk out some of that even years ago. How long from that time when you were putting pictures up on the ceiling to the first day you really were able to see it in the natural, to tangibly touch it and feel it?
So I would say 2 years after I began speaking.
Wow.
And then I also started my nonprofit in the meantime, so I began to develop my speaking abilities of how I wanted to look, of what I wanted to be like, how I wanted to express myself. But that was a journey in itself, because even though I started right away, I wasn't everything in my dream.
Sure.
So I had to continue to develop myself in those gifts. And then I would say 15 years later is when I was on the level to meet people from from various governments, to deliver speeches in different settings that were on a governmental business level. And also in 2012, I had a chance to host the Bulgarian president, and with his 57-member delegation in Seattle, Washington.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was his first visit to the U.S. after becoming a Democratic president in Bulgaria, meeting with Bill Gates and President Obama. And so we had an opportunity to host him for a day in Seattle, and I was a part of organizing the main event. And
was it like Pinch Me, I'm Dreaming?
It was one of those things, because he looked at me and he said, wow, you're not even nervous. And I said, I have dreamed of those days in particular, all these years, that I am so, it's as though it has happened so many times over, but now it was the reality.
That's so good.
And when you're in your reality finally, after all these years of imagining it, you're so excited. And I can't even explain it. It's like you're there and you think, I have been here 1,000 times in my thoughts, but now I'm here in body.
Right.
And it makes a big difference. And it was the beginning of many new opportunities for me at that time.
I love that. That's wonderful. What would you say to somebody who's watching and, you know, they're kind of like half and half, like I really want to walk out what I've envisioned, but I just don't think it's in me, or I don't think I have what it takes to really be that person that I dream about or that I sometimes see.
Well, so here is, I think, an important aspect that you have to define yourself before you even define a dream. Because if you don't define yourself, everybody else will define you.
That's right.
Your impossibilities will define you, people will define you, even your dreams, if they're not developed, will define you.
That's so
and then
good.
you're going to be stuck underneath something that perhaps wasn't even big enough for you, or maybe it's too small, or maybe it's not even relevant.
Right.
And so I would say if your dream matches you, then there is no doubt that it's going to happen. But when we begin to believe that we're inadequate and our inadequacy overshadows a dream or a vision, then it's time to sit back, to write down what have I accomplished and achieved so far? What are the strengths that I have? And how do I take my strengths and place them in my now moment so that I draw on them when I'm discouraged and build myself up and begin to really see myself in the future.
Right.
So you got to bring your future into your present by taking from the past the best of who you are.
That's good.
And placing it right now.
Yes.
Because I really believe...
Take note.
I really believe that we all have what it takes.
Yes.
It just has to be defined, and you've got to surround yourself with people that will help you along the way.
Okay.
Because not everybody has the best intention. And I had learned from a long time ago, I used to go around and I was so excited to tell everybody all of my dreams. And it's...
Joseph.
Right, exactly.
Josephette.
And it's not that people didn't believe that I could do it, but they always would look at me like, really? You? Like, how are you going to do it? And if I didn't have the perseverance in me, I probably would have given up just on facial expression of doubt.
Yes.
But because I knew who I am, and that was a process of the development of who I am, then it didn't matter what anybody thought.
Right.
Because you don't ever do a dream, a vision, a calling, or anything in life for the approval of somebody else.
That's right.
You've got to do it because
So
you
good.
know that this is you, and what you're doing is going to contribute to the world, and nobody else can be you. So in my assimilation of all of these different people and what they have accomplished, I never lost myself in them because I knew my set steps and journey.
Right.
Of course, it was a part of my faith in God, but at the same time, it was also my own responsibility to own the giftings that I've been given.
That's right. To own them and then to also work on improving. You know, we do have to work on our skill or our craft or those things. You know, you don't just sit back and go, well, these are some of the things that I like to do or that I desire to do, and then you don't do anything with improving them. That's not, you know, that's
Then you're
never
not a good steward of any of your
steward.
gifts.
Right.